I am back and we are not live, but I am recording. So how does everybody feel today? How does everybody feel about this project? Thank you to The Alchemist. Thank you, Terror Daryl. Thank you to Matt Scott, especially, who left us early. That was a really, really fascinating conversation. Oh, this is a long shot, says Element. Oh, well, that's only because it's literally been shot from a very long distance, my friend. This is what makes this even more of a sort of non-traditional long shot is the stringent and strange and long development cycle. But in my humble opinion, that's also a reason to give you confidence, because they didn't want to release it as it currently existed, like right after the Kickstarter. Like, oh, we got our Kickstarter money. Like, they could have released it in early access and started taking money for it. Instead, they pulled back. They pulled back and they knuckled down. And we can talk about what they had to knuckle down doing all day long, because honestly, this project has truly a fascinating history. The weird back and forth as far as the legal drama that ensued, that was just its own rabbit hole to go diving down. And it's no wonder that if you had been hanging out or paying any attention to like the AVAX fans who were hanging out with 100 Days, like you'll see a lot of those guys like, oh yeah, Little Orbit partnership. That's exciting. I went in there. I was like, oh yeah, I know Little Orbit. I know about APB. I'm an old gamer. I know about that. That's a thing. That's something I know about. They've been around. Now the price, for anyone wondering, the $150 price entry is we can debate that all day long. But they're giving you a very big value package for it. And that's something that's hard for me to argue with as a gamer. See, I come from the gaming era before horse armor. That's a big thing that I have to emphasize. I played games when the development team had to get it right for version 1.0. Version 1.0 was not allowed to be a steaming, barely connected pile of shit. Like, if you were going to sell Descent, you were putting out fixed solid state memory. Or not, no, it wasn't solid state. It was fixed hard disks, floppy disks. The games came on disks so big that if I were to show you guys pictures of floppy disks, any of you younger than 20, 25, you're going to think, what the fuck is this alien technology that he's talking about? What is this shit? I have no idea what this shit is. This looks like something from the 80s. Like something out of the movie Alien. But that's what games were sold as back in the day. They came in huge boxes. Like putting together all of those boxes don't sell the game to us. I've admitted my biases, Davey. I'm here to talk about what I think about it. I've admitted that I have a lot of reasons to be biased toward this, but I don't think I have to sell you something that's free. That's its own entry fee right there. It's free. If you want to throw some crypto on it, you can do that. No. The create to earn component isn't free. Right? The play the game free, that's free. They've got this divided up into segments in that sense. Ah, my man Anime for the World wants to come on stage. Come on up, Anime. Join the panel. That's what gets weird. Well, yeah, it does seem weird as a gamer, because I've never played a game like this before. I played Descent. I've seen how Axie works, but I've never played a game. I wasn't big into Roblox. I'll tell you guys that. I don't do Roblox. We got some people in here who do play Roblox. No judgment. But the Roblox model is you can be a developer, you can be a creator, and you can feed your ideas into the ecosystem, and you get back a realizable reward. Yeah, the kids are making money being creators in the game ecosystem. It's new ground on both Web3 and free-to-play side. That's why it's exciting and also scary. That's a great way to sum up my feelings. Like the 6-year-old kid in me is saying, buy. But the adult in me, the investor in me, is saying, it's scary. It's a scary prospect. I really want to do it. I might do it this weekend. If I do it, I'll tell you guys, because we have a few days to think and let it, soak over and think about what we want to do. But if I buy this, I'll tell you guys this weekend. I am excited. I was excited for Descent Underground. Like, that's my bias. I have to be upfront. You've never played a game like this because it doesn't exist. Well, it doesn't exist yet. I've played 1,000 games that were built with a traditional model that self-destructed in the creators' faces. Like, if you want to talk about games with a traditional model that have a games as a service component, that we're going to have battle pass elements, but yet we're sold with a traditional $60 entry cost, not counting the deluxe edition, which was like an additional $20 to get the soundtrack. Okay, thanks. I can pay $79.99 or $89.99 to get some cosmetics on release and a soundtrack. All right, and this is only getting worse, by the way. Like, go look at Mudahar's latest video about Hitman. If you're a gamer and you look at Hitman, you will spend 500 hours playing the only way to get your money back. But is it? Well, first off, I got to tell you, Davey, how many games are you playing right now where you're getting your entry price back in something other than fun? Because that's the answer. That's the answer right there. If you're making a little money and you're having fun, what am I to complain about? If the game loop works, if the game works and it's fun, then the fact that I can make a little money back on my purchase is really just a bonus for me, because I've spent way too much on certain games. I'll tell you guys right now. Anyone who's played Paradox games knows what I'm talking about. Europa Universalis, Hearts of Iron 4, Stellaris, Crusader Kings. These are traditional games that run on your computer. You can play with your friends, with them, against them, all that. I played over 750 hours of Stellaris in my lifetime. And I have spent more than enough money on that game to justify those 700 plus hours, which, by the way, absolutely gave me days upon days of fun with my real life friends that I played those games with. We were doing Star Trek mods, we were doing Klingon noises. I was acting like a total imbecile, but I had a great time doing it. Yeah, there's going to be, just scrolling up a little bit, Secrets asks, you can't play the game to earn your money back. You can create to earn, if I recall. There's going to be two elements to that. There's going to be some kind of reward for bringing your blockchain ship in to do the mission, right? There's going to be some kind of tokenized reward for that at some point. But the main source, they emphasize that like the rewards for playing matches will be secondary to the create to earn. If you're trying to earn in the game, you want to create. You want asteroid runs. And that means you want the land NFT. So that's the investment aspect of it. If you're trying to get returns, then you also are going to want to like the gameplay loop, because you're going to be building levels inside of the loop. And the loop is good. It's a good loop. It's a 30-year-old game loop. You get locked into a fixed underground zone with an auto map that generates. And according to them, your game state, whatever's going on, they're saving it all the time. So if you have to stop, if you're an adult with a job and kids and a family and you're playing this game for fun and you have to stop, then you're not penalized. You don't get hurt or anything like that for getting up off your ass and dealing with real world shit. That matters to me because in games like World of Warcraft and EverQuest, the MMORPG model, you cannot get off your ass. Like you're logging out of the game. Or the game's kicking you off for being away from keyboard.
Well, that is still impossible in blockchain technologies nowadays, anyway.
Oh yeah, Davey scrolls down. It's not play to earn, is pay a lot to maybe earn something, maybe. Well, no. You're gonna get a token, and you don't have to pay $1,000. I'm pretty sure that their lowest create to earn tier is gonna release at a 50% discount from $300. So actually, if you want to create, if you are a creator and you want to create, they're asking for $150. To play the game, the lowest tier is $0. And I checked, there is a basic pilot's license that is $30. At least that I saw some graphics that implied there's going to be a basic pilot's license for $30. So for $30 worth of Matic or something, you'll be able to get a couple actual blockchain ships. So the actual play to earn entry component is $30. You won't earn any tokens unless you have a token ship, unless you have an NFT ship. That's the entry bar for earning tokens for playing. The bar for earning tokens for creating is owning the asteroids. That's how I understand this to work. And obviously, if I'm totally off base, somebody would be in chat telling me he's wrong. Here's how it actually works. At least I would hope so. But yeah, no, this is I'm excited for this because this is something that has been wanted for a long time, and I'm not sure if I'm going to have enough money by this weekend to buy a thorium pack or the asteroid pack, because I would love to create a level. I would love to build an asteroid level that people can play. That's really cool. See, very much like the metaverse of individual, and the owners promoting theirs is the best. So it's basically one can make an entry, check things out, and if they like it and are having fun, they can invest. Yeah, that's as far as I understand, Dave. That's what they're going for. And for those of us who are skeptical, then the smart thing to do would speculatively be to simply wait until the game comes out and you can play it. Which they've got a tentative release scheduled for this December. God bless. I hope nothing delays them. 1,000 things can come up that'll cause delay. So I'm knocking on my 200-year-old Japanese wooden table over here. That's not what they're going for. They're going for money. Well, of course they're going for actual continual revenues. But something you may not know about, Davey, they have a partnership with 100 Days. And 100 Days, as an angel investment firm of its own right, has a stake in the success of S.T.F.U, of Ships That Fight Underground. So what we're starting to see here is cross-community pollination, where certain people who are already successful, even in a bear market, amidst their own project struggles, are backing other projects during a bear market. That's cool. That is the type of thing we'd like to see more of. That is constructive. And of course, Little Orbit is probably certainly not the only thing Little Orbit's doing. Certainly not. Taking over APB was a very big deal. That game was pretty hyped when it was on its way out. And when it arrived, the people who had initially created it didn't handle it very well in a lot of people's opinion. what they turned it into and what they did by breathing more life into it was keep something alive that probably, honest, should have died, along with all of the money that people spent on it to play it. It was a central service game. So by the companies trading the game's hands, there was every likelihood that it could be butchered and turned into a microtransaction hell between any 1, 2, 3 developers. But Little Orbit hasn't done that. They do have to make money, but they're not. This isn't a vulture game. I don't see this like a vulture game. And you want to know why? Because the most recent games that are coming out that are blowing up the space are all crappy, barely put together vulture games. The latest Saints Row is a $59.99 piece of shit. The latest Diablo game requires you to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars if you want to actually compete and be competitive in its player versus player arena. That is outrageous. Truly outrageous. And that's not what we're hearing here. Like I just have to tell you, that's not what I'm hearing here. The folks have to make money, but they're not trying to take my house and my car.
Where's the sound cues, by the way?
Oh, I haven't used any. This is the mature. I'm being mature.
Sorry. How immature of you to not cue some sounds.
Okay. I'll get a little bit more creative with it. All right. Since you asked nicely.
I already see what's coming.
Everyone promises the best. No one delivers anything more than scams in this space. I will wait a year to see if the game is established and play and see if it is good. That is all that I, and this isn't even me as a creator. This is just me as a player of video games. All I would ask is that we go into new things and innovative ideas with an open mind. Because too often in this space, we're going to have 1,000 games with mechanics we've seen 1,000 times before.
Some doesn't even make it to a game. It's just a scam from the start. That's the problem, actually. People how can you trust something if every fucking time it's like a scam and a rug pull?
And all of us, we're overexposed to the scams here, at least in this Discord server. So to the team who's been listening to this conversation, understand we get bombarded by scammers. They are always coming after us. You said open mind when you have to invest $150 and there's nothing made yet. Actually, you're completely wrong, Davey. The game has been basically ready to sell for some time. But as I explained several times, there were a number of hurdles, legal issues, and other things that caused them to pull back on a full-scale release. Now, what would you have actually had them do? They could have released it early under a name they weren't legally allowed to use, probably gotten sued, and probably gotten wrecked. They could have done what they did and pulled back and waited till the time is right. Oh, by all means, secrets, you can post a trailer. Or they had a third option, which is we kickstarted a project, it didn't work out, and now we realize we don't even have the legal license to use the intellectual property. Then fuck it, guys. White flag. We're tossing in the towel. We kickstarted a thing, we spent the money, and I'm sorry, there's nothing to show for it because we can't legally sell it to you. So there's a number of probable scenarios that this could have gone. And judging just based on let's be real here, everyone, the statistical failure rate for any project in information technology, regardless of whether it has a video game edge to it or not, or a legacy one at that, the chance of any project failing is between 63 and 78% across the board. That is for venture capital-backed technology startups in any way. Like forget Descent, forget Parallax Interactive and all of the legacy, forget Descent Underground, forget the Kickstarter. All of that doesn't change the fact that it has a 60 to 70% chance of failing. And that was before. But we're not talking about that time anymore. We're out of the like it's not going to happen zone of the Bermuda Bitcoin triangle that I keep telling everyone about, right? The Kickstarter people were probably starting to trend toward we think this is a scam because you've pulled back, you're telling us it's going to be named something different. All of this is sus as hell. Sus as fuck. And that's not okay. So I'm sure they got plenty of emails from people saying, oh, yeah, no, we don't like this. We're not sure where this is going. This is risky. We're not sure we like this. But the thing is, they are going to bring something forth, and they're going to use that subnet technology on Polygon. Oh, Victo's here. Yeah, Victo. Very interesting development. I'd previously talked to Victo earlier about my concerns with regards to the tokenomics and gas fees, and Victo shared those concerns. We've now come to discover that the project is going to be built on Polygon, and we'll be using one of the similar subnet functions to make it so that the transactions are gasless. There's not going to cost any gas to utilize. Victo says, ugh. Oh, Victo. Victo the technologist. I can always count on Victo to bring his best rapier to any conversation. He brings his best epee.
We talked about this yesterday. It's even though you don't have gas feeds, but the possibilities to mess around with the game are like there because of it.
It all comes down to will they deliver if they deliver? And that is, of course, the question, right? When the game is released and we see an early access copy, does it work as intended? Polygon SuperNet? Yes, I believe that was the answer that we were given during the AMA. Thank you, Mewtwo. It's a Polkadot clone type of system, says Victo. Yeah, this is interesting because I haven't had a chance to dig more into the Polygon SuperNet functions. Ah, sure thing, buddy. Get you an invite right there.
Hey.
Hey, Victo.
So real fast on the Polygon SuperNet, from what I can see, they are utilizing a form of or modification of Polygon at its core, where they are relying on another L1 chain to validate the subnet type deal because it's based off the back of the L1 chain. Technically, it's a layer 1 on a layer 1, but it's using the original layer 1's validators. Okay. It's interesting as a concept, but it's kind of shit in execution.
Well, why is it shitty? Will it be slowed down by big player activity, or well, what makes this
it just doesn't
less
scale
than
that
viable
well
in your opinion?
Sorry. It just doesn't scale that well. As well, for one, we need to first break up the misconception of what Polygon actually is, or not Polygon, Polkadot actually is. Because they claim to be a layer 0 or a layer 1, or sorry, not a layer 1, a layer 2. But from a fundamental standpoint, when you look at the technology, anything that has a chain and a validator, it is a layer 1 technology as a whole, or at its core. There is no negotiation there. If you have a chain and you have a validator, it is layer 1.
Okay.
So,
does this have implications for the economy of the project, do you think?
Well, I already vocalized my opinion on their economy internally to you, because why do they have 3 different tokens for 3 different things when it should be all unified under 1 token?
Yes, indeed. But I really do need to dig more into the SuperNet thing because my primary concern
Honestly,
was going to be gas.
a quick glance over, it's literally Polkadot.
Okay.
Polkadot isn't anything special. It's just a chain on a chain on a chain on a chain going to infinity.
Well, I mean,
Because they all have that
however,
relayer chain on the bottom layer, and it
however they
does validate
scale,
itself.
however they scale it, as long as the costs of doing it this way are non-prohibitive for the player and non-prohibitive for the developers who are maintaining it, then in theory it could work. I don't see why it couldn't, as long as those two conditions are fulfilled.
I mean, on the one hand, they do have MetaMask compatibility because it does get treated as its own independent chain, which from a technological standpoint is good enough. But the fact that it relies on another chain ain't great. Like with Arbitrum, you can make the case of, oh, this is an Ethereum scaling solution that is built on the back of Ethereum, but at the same time, it has the security of ETH because it is literally bundling blocks and sending it back to the ETH chain. If there's an issue with that, then it just rolls back Arbitrum, or that transaction gets canceled. I forget exactly how they do it, but Arbitrum being a direct replica of ETH, but on ZK rollups, or sorry, optimistic rollups, and actually sending its data back to the ETH chain is a really big brain move because of how secure that is by default. The
Okay.
With this, that data is not being sent back to the Polygon chain. It's being sent back to their side chain that just exists on Polygon. It's not really the same thing.
Yeah. Well, I can't help but want this thing to work. I do. I really want this to work. So everyone like critiquing it and raising points that they think might be problems, thank you. Because you're being constructive. And that's a big thing for me, especially right now. I'm seeing a ton of people whose behavior is destructive throughout the space. And I really hope that future projects understand that accepting really solid criticism and looking into it, this is how we're going to make it better. This is how we can possibly.
Like if you, what I just threw in there was the actual architecture design of the SuperNet. So the JSON RPC and the gRPC, they're kind of in a similar role. They're not like at no point does data that is on this side chain flow back into the primary chain. So if they build a bugged up blockchain by default, that's an issue.
And because it's blockchain, you got to do it right the first time.
It has its own validators to rely on. So I don't see this being that great. Perfectly honest with you, Nick.
Well, if they have a framework, if they have a good starter framework, that would at least be something to build on and make more efficient. But I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying.
At the same time, they're reliant on Polygon.
Well, they have to be reliant on something.
True. That's not necessarily a bad thing.
And Polygon's a great one to go to for cheap fees. But and the SuperNet thing adds this other aspect to it that, in my mind, might eliminate the fee. But I see what you're saying about the connections.
Yeah. Honestly, I feel like Arbitrum would have been the better move because they can just YOLO their smart contracts on it, have it be as secure as ETH is, and only end up paying like 10 cents per transaction in Arbitrum ETH.
Okay.
With an instant transaction time because of how fast Nitro made the chain. But that's just my opinion. It's not really constructive nor destructive to the project as a whole. Plus, it gives everyone a common token that they can just YOLO for gas.
Yeah, by the way, everybody.
Oh, for sure. All chains and rollups have their pros and cons. But I would, in my opinion, it is a better move to take the security of ETH, which is a highly secure chain, over something like Poly, where it doesn't have its own.
But they're looking for that infrastructure.
It relies on the Poly
support.
mechanisms, in a word.
But they're looking for that infrastructure support. I mean, some of it, I'm assuming they've already got because of their free-to-play development history. So they have some infrastructure to support the game already, just like they would for any other free-to-play game.
Sure, but you also need to keep in mind that good design also makes it as lean as possible in terms of what is being processed where. Yeah. So you're not cluttering up things that don't need to be. One sec.
Oh. Yeah, Alchemist, right.
Oh, sure. I'll agree with the infrastructure support not being there for rollups on ETH. But I'm just saying, from a design perspective, the idea of keeping keeping a minimal amount of systems being processed on chain as physically possible. So the idea isn't to put in a shitload of different processes on the same system. Anything that does not need to be on the blockchain should not be on the blockchain. That's the only point I'm making with that.
Yeah, and of course, naturally, that means that if you don't need it to be on the blockchain, that it can be cheaper and more efficient for 1 million plus free to players engaging with it. Okay, well, that brings us to really the final part of the show, which is my personal most favorite and least favorite, all at the same time. That's right, people. It's giveaway time. We're here. We've got some serious giveaways we'd like to give away to the audience. The Best Question Awards. If the Alchemist would feel so compelled, I would very much appreciate it if he might weigh in on some of the questions in the pinned messages section. And if there are any of those questions that they find to be particularly good or particularly informative, to please feel free to call out those users. And I and the team would be happy to give them their reward. We are giving away 5 winners today of equal worth. So if there were questions that you felt like were very good, many of the questions I personally ask are exempt from this award because I'm on the team. So everyone else's questions, including the Anon question, I would throw into the hat. So that first community question was from an Anon, and everything else is pinned. Aha. Looks like we have our first winner. All right, I'll be making a note of that. M. Mahar is winner number one. Congratulations, M. Mahar. Yes, our winner number two, Sahal. Good choice. Great choice. Those were some baller questions, too. Excellent. Excellent. Those are their two faves. They'll let me take over the rest. All right. I would be happy to do that. Allow me to pull up my handy dandy iPad and peruse the question. Okay. Okay. I very much liked Arthex's question. Arthex is on the team, but I think Arthex deserves it because the question about whether or not the game will be fairly priced is a very important one for both investors looking at the price action and players of the game wondering if it's going to be sustainable. So I think Arthix is a good one, but if anyone has an issue with that, just feel free to shout at me. I think that's good. Next, I believe the next question, the next one. Let me make that note there. I believe the next one should go to Davey for whether or not the name will be taken seriously. And I really like that because it speaks to the marketing, right? The viability of marketing a project with a controversial name. Yes, you. I don't want users in this community to think that them being critical in the after show means they're not on the list of rewards, for one. And for another, you raise very important points both during your question and during the after show. So I think you deserve the fourth reward. Although the characters in your name are so funky. Hard to mention you. I have to use the mouse to mention the man. All right. And that brings us to our final one. This is, of course, as usual, there's so many questions that everyone asks that are so good. I can't award them to everyone. But the best, the most informative one for me, at least, would be the most informative one to me would be the one that I learned the most as a business guy, as an MBA guy. One of you guys asked a question that stuck out to me like a sore thumb, and that person is Least Comic Standing. Least Comic Standing's question about the Kickstarter in relation to the NFT sales did a great job of highlighting sort of how far this project has come in relation to where it started. Boy, this project has ridden a roller coaster, and as we can see, it's still riding it. But I, for one, I can't tell you guys how to spend your money. I don't think anyone should invest if they can't afford to lose money. But I'm a gamer. When I buy a game, I don't expect a return. Like, that's a unique opportunity for me as a gamer. So if I can, I might try to set aside some crypto and see if I can't buy a pilot's license for this, because just the idea that, oh, I can sell a NFT down the road. I could sell one of my ships, make back the money I spent on the game, and still have all sorts of cool stuff to play with it. I'm really, that excites me. Obviously, there are reasons that folks might have to be bearish or skeptical. Do it. Stay skeptical. We need skepticism when it comes to projects like this, because we really want them to deliver. And if they can deliver on the plan, if they follow through on the plan, if we can drive the triangle away from the weird gray muddy waters where we don't know what it is. Are they failing? Are they scamming? Are they succeeding? We want to know they are succeeding. And we will know that for a certainty when the game drops. Oh, someone asked about marketing and influencers. That's absolutely in our plans, says Matt Smith. The head of our marketing came from Amazon and helped to launch Lost Ark and New World with extensive Twitch integration. Ooh, talk about viral marketing successes. Regardless of what you want to say about the gameplay of New World and Lost Ark, those games are virally successful in terms of like recognition, name recognition at a bare minimum. So no one can fault the marketing guy. Can't fault the marketing guy. All right. Excellent.
That is actually a pretty good idea. Minting using the NFTs to mint resources is, if it can be pulled off in a way that makes sense, that would actually be a better idea than having individual tokens for them. Because like anyone can just go out and buy X amount of resource and have it tokenized, right?
Mm-hmm.
With an NFT, it's a little bit different.
Yes.
Because it's just data that's sitting on some server that has a blockchain link baked into it. So
excellent. Well, guys,
that is actually a significantly better idea, in my opinion. But
oh yeah,
you did mention that it is harder to fractionize that. That's true. That is absolutely true.
Ooh, so yeah, there might be some roadblocks there, but either way, a lot of the tokenomics they're still developing. So I'm happy to say that there's time, they have room that a lot of other projects wouldn't have, because in a sense they're self-publishing, self-financing. Combine that with the original assets and work done by the studio whose work they inherited, they have a lot more as a foundation than a lot of other projects in this position would have. And I say that especially meaningfully following the settlement of a very litigative lawsuit. So my hat is off to them for, like, talk about Victo's one who knows projects who come under fire, go through hell, and come out the other side. That is something that he has seen, and I'm sure I speak for all of us when we say we don't want to see stuff fail. We would all like to see stuff succeed and see builders build things. It would bring me nothing but joy to see the word scam about 10 times less than I do these days.
Hey, Alchemist, here's actually a pretty decent idea. Say you collect a resource in-game, just have the NFT represent a bundle of resources as opposed to just fractionalizing it. So if they decide to make a bundle, then just take whatever the value of the bundle is, throw it on an NFT, and have that bundle be representative of the in-game resource.
Oh, and that might make sense, especially if player characters are able to like accumulate a bag or bundle of resources before they make that action. Like there might be a point where it's more efficient to like, oh, I don't have enough good shit yet. I better wait before I tokenize it and try to do something with it on the blockchain.
If it were up to me, that's how I would execute it, because then you don't need to worry about fractionalizing it. Every NFT has the exact same value for whatever the resource is, and then it can just go wherever the NFT is going to go.
Huh. Awesome. Well, I am 15 minutes over time, and I don't want to keep any of the folks who've been awake in other time zones awake any longer. I would be more than happy to sit down and start the rendering of these videos. So thank you to everybody for joining us for this, and I really appreciate it. I think the team really appreciated it, and it's really exciting to see projects like this open to critique and criticism, and intending to grow and deliver based on such, what I personally feel is an incredibly solid game foundation. Like we started with a game and not a token, right? They didn't come here to sell us tokens. They came here to sell us a game that has tokens in it. And I'm really happy about that.
That mentality I can get behind, too.
Yes.
I will always say I am a gamer over than I am a crypto trader, or, project ripping and tearing.
I'm going to have to second that.
The reputation that the game has, I mean,
So
from that time when you played it, it's not a rip on that part.
No, it's a very important aspect of this project that it has such a rich legacy and a wonderful history. So thank you all so very much, as always. This is a landmark show for us in this little community. We didn't get as many people as I would have wanted, but that we lost a lot of people in the space, and that's sad. But at the same time, I'm still here, and I am very thrilled that we are still seeing building happening all over the place, especially with eyes on a global audience. This isn't just a regional thing. If they're popular enough in your region, then they'll open up servers. And
Our markets are the perfect time to build, Mac.
Yes, sir. Awesome. Thank you guys all so very much. I gotta go. I've got a bunch of homework I gotta get working on for tomorrow at midnight. Thank you all, as always, for your very wonderful attention. And it is my continuing pleasure to be able to host these shows for you. And I really hope you feel I'm doing you justice, because I really try.